Welcome to today's lesson on dividing fractions by whole numbers. Today we're going to look at a few different strategies that you can use to divide fractions by whole numbers. So let's go ahead and get started. We are going to begin today by using the word problem that you can see on the screen. Sasha has 1/3 yard of fabric for her quilt. She needs to cut the fabric into 4 equal pieces. How long is each piece? Well, we know that we're starting with 1/3 yard of fabric, and you can see that marked out on the screen. We have 1 yard represented, only 1/3 of that yard shaded in. So we'll be starting with 1/3 a yard of fabric, and we need to divide this fabric into 4 equal pieces. So that's how we're going to start setting up our division problem. So we're going to take this 1/3 and divide it into 4 equal sections. Now, as you can see, I divided this third into 4 equal parts, but then I also had to divide the other remaining thirds, even though we don't have fabric there, and that's going to help us get our whole number of pieces. So we now have 12ths, and we have 4 12ths shaded in to represent our 1/3 of fabric. But we want to know how long each piece is. So that means one piece is going to be 1/12 of a yard. So that seemed pretty simple, but now we're going to go ahead and compare this to the algorithm. We know that the opposite or inverse of division is multiplication. So another way that we can solve this problem is by doing the opposite. We're still going to start with 1/3, but instead of using division, we're going to switch to multiplication. That means that we also have to find the opposite or reciprocal of 4 wholes. If we write 4 wholes as a fraction, we would write it as 4/1 or 4 wholes. So the reciprocal of 4 wholes is going to be 1/4 or 1/4. So instead of dividing 4 wholes, we're going to multiply by a fraction, 1/4. And that should get us the same answer. So to multiply these two fractions, we multiply our numerator, 1 times 1, which gives us 1, and then we multiply our denominator, 3 times 4 equals 12. And look at that, you get the same answer, 1/12 a yard of fabric. So another way, instead of using diagrams to be able to divide whole numbers by fractions, is to multiply the fraction by the reciprocal of the whole number. Let's go ahead and try a word problem together. Andre's backyard is 3/4 of an acre. He decides to divide the yard into 2 equal sections to mow at 2 different times. What fraction of an acre does Andre mow at a time? Well, we already have our diagram on our screen. We have 1 acre represented with 3/4 of it shaded in. So let's go ahead and write our equation. We know that we're starting with 3/4 of an acre. And we're going to be dividing this 3/4 of an acre into 2 equal pieces. So we need to divide each of these into 2 equal pieces. Now that we've divided each section into 2 equal pieces, we need to shade in 1 out of every 2 pieces. And that's going to show the 2 different ways that Andre will mow the lawn. So our highlighted sections are 1 of our shaded pieces out of 2 that Andre will mow the first time. Our second piece that was not shaded in is going to show what Andre will mow the second time. So how much of an acre does Andre mow each time? Well, let's count up our shaded pieces. We have 1, 2, 3, which is going to be our numerator, out of 8 pieces in our whole, which is going to be our denominator. That means that Andre is mowing 3/8 of an acre each time he mows the lawn. Let's go ahead and try another word problem together. Since we used our fraction bar on our last word problem, let's go ahead and practice using our reciprocal on this one. Anna has 4/5 of a birthday cake. She wants to split the cake equally with her 3 friends. What fraction of the cake will each friend receive? Well, we need to start by writing our equation. We know that Anna has 4/5 of a birthday cake. So I'm going to write 4/5, and she's dividing it equally between her and her 3 friends, which means we're dividing it between 4 people in all. Now we need to find the reciprocal of 4 wholes to rewrite our equation. So I'm going to start by rewriting our fraction, 4/5, and we're going to find the inverse of division, which is multiplication, and the reciprocal of 4 wholes, which is going to be 1/4. So now I can multiply across. 4 times 1 equals 4. 5 times 4 equals 20. And I can actually take this one step further because we can simplify this fraction. If I divide my numerator and denominator by 4, I can simplify this down to 1/5. That means that each friend will receive 1/5 of the birthday cake. Let's take a moment to review what you've learned in today's lesson. If we have 2/5 and we're trying to divide it by 2, there are multiple ways that we can approach the problem. One way is by using a fraction bar. We have 2/5 of our bar shaded in, and we're going to divide each fifth into 2 equal parts. Now that I've divided each of my fifths into 2 equal parts, I need to shade in one part for each of the fifths that I have. Now remember, I changed my whole into tenths, so now I have 2/10 shaded in. So 2/5 divided by 2 wholes equals 2/10, which we can actually simplify even further down to 1/5. Now let's go ahead and practice our other strategy to check our work. We are going to find the inverse of division, which is going to be multiplication, and then we are going to find the reciprocal of 2 wholes, which is going to be 1/2. Now I can multiply across. 2 times 1 equals 2, and 5 times 2 equals 10, which once again gives me 2/10, which we can simplify down to 1/5.